usually we just think, we just have contact. Well, I mean, for example, with myself or with other leaders of this movement, only when they come down in the temple room and say something. But actually there's so much more going on in this Krishna consciousness movement that I thought I'd just like to make a little newsletter here. You see, Jayapataka Maharaj, now that he has come here, I am practically monopolizing all his time. So he is suffering from incredible amount of jet lag at this point. Jet lag is that which completely destroys the human body. It means when you go from one time zone to another, but your body's still in the other time zone. So he went from India to Germany. That was 4.5 hours difference. And then he went to New York. That was another 5 hours difference. And then he went to LA. That was another 4 hours difference. And then he came all the way back here, which is another 9 hours difference. So when you add it all up, it's something ridiculous. So his body doesn't know if it's in India, or if it's in Los Angeles, or if it's in, hasn't the faintest idea what it's doing. But still, I'm pushing him, do more, do more preaching, do more of this and that. So I decided that I was being a rascal. So I'm giving him the morning off. Then I'd come down and do the talking. But he will do evening program tonight. I know it's a great austerity for everybody to have to listen to me again. I don't want to disappoint you, so I'm making sure it'll do the evening program. So what we're doing, you see, just about 3 days ago, something wonderful started happening as far as this book goes. After I wrote this book and we read it and everything, I mean, there was a lot of dissatisfaction because, you know, it wasn't exactly relevant to the modern society, modern social situation. So I sent copies of the book all over the movement and begging my esteemed godbrothers to please comment on it and to tell me what's wrong. Well, I got one response anyway. It was from Satrup Maharaj, Divine Day Satrup Maharaj, who really gave a really fantastic critique. But he didn't either come out and say exactly what was wrong, but he made two suggestions. Number one, he made a suggestion that I should figure out how to state some introduction to the Varnas, to this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra business in the social organization, in such a way that people wouldn't mind it being a utopia. And the second section, utopia, you know what utopia is? You know this word, yeah? Okay, and the second suggestion was I should make a section on nuclear Kshatriyas. Because I hinted at it, but I was afraid in the beginning to go further than I was afraid to go further than what is standardly known as parampara. In other words, what the Shastra said, I didn't want to expand very much further in modern situation. But he was saying that I should do that, because I could do it. And I was wondering, nuclear Kshatriya, utopia. So for about 2 weeks now, I've simply been thinking, what does this all mean? What does he want me to do? Because Satrup Maharaj, as far as I'm concerned, is my writing guru. He's so expert and knows how to do so many wonderful things. And I'm so useless when it comes to writing, so whatever he says, I just listen to it. But I couldn't figure out how I'm going to follow these instructions. Nuclear Kshatriyas, what is that? And who's over there? Why did you turn this off? Huh? Well, I was more disturbed by you turning it off than... I wasn't disturbed at all. Why don't you put it back the way it was? Alright. Everybody here still? Okay, I have such a big mouth anyway. So, I was thinking that, what to do. So then about 3 days ago, because the Treya Rishi Prabhu, it's amazing things, all these people just came, all these wonderful devotees just started coming, almost as if they were sent by Srila Prabhupada to just break me out of my misconceptions. So Treya Rishi Prabhu came and we started talking about making a Varnashram university. And then things began to clear up. Nuclear Shachi and Varnashram University. And then began to understand everything that is already existing within society is Varnashram. There's nothing but the four Varnas. Krishna said, Chaturvanya Maya Shristam Gunakarma Vibhaga. Everybody is within one of these four orders because there's no other way to organize society. You can't have anything but an intelligent class who are directing and educating, an administrator and warrior class, a productive class, trading class, finance class, and worker class, and service class. You can't have anything but these four classes. Nothing else can exist. No one can think of anything else that can exist. So the whole point is that it's already there, so we have to regulate it. We have to organize it so that people recognize what's already there and use it properly. Like there's two ways of doing things. One way is to understand what's already there and correct it and make it proper. And another way is to completely throw it away and do something new. Well, to completely throw away the whole human society is out of the question. It's too huge. There's 3.5 billion people on this planet. I made calculation from taking all of the military books. Even if there was an all-out nuclear destruction, and everybody threw every bomb they had in existence, you cannot kill more than 500 million people. That brings us down to 3 billion. Then, if all the disasters and calamities and floods and earthquakes and everything else that could possibly happen happened, and even at the wildest imagination could wipe out another billion people, or even 2 billion people, if practically the whole earth was thrown into chaos, you still have 1 billion people. 1 billion people. So many people. So many people. It's ridiculous. Even these huge disasters, floods, this and that, it cannot destroy that many people. Like in India, these big floods, not many people died. All right, maybe 50,000, 100,000. What's that in the face of 700 million people who live in India? It's nothing. So, so then the situation is going on, thinking about it more and more. So we have so many people. So we have to take what's already there and somehow or another bring it to Varnashram. And then I'm thinking now somebody will say, how are you going to do all this? So we just simply organize all of these sciences, philosophies, everything that is already there, and simply turn it towards Krishna with a new goal, with a new direction. Instead of the scientists trying to show that everything comes from chemicals, let them show it all comes from life, or let them show it all comes from Krishna. Instead of them trying to just create huge war technology which will blow everybody up, then let the technology go to producing very nice things which people can use very easily. Just like it is a fact that there's a man who already produced a car which runs on 1/10 the amount of gasoline as the most economical cars presently existing. But he was completely destroyed by the oil company. That man was totally destroyed. This is in America. See, because they don't want us to use less oil. They want us to use more oil, so their business increases and their money increases. It's like a huge economic military complex that has grown up in this world. On all systems, all countries, they're all running in the same way, economic military. Economic for sense gratification to be the enjoyer, and military for control to be the controller. So the enjoyer and controller, that's what everybody wants to be. So this whole complex is built up just for this. So it's all going on under the direction of the Vaishyas to be the enjoyers and the Kshatriyas to be the controllers. And thus there's no Brahminical head, no intelligence going on. Everything is going on just for making money and enjoying that money. Everything that's going on in this whole world. So all of the people in the universities are simply doing what they're doing in order to create big business. Everybody goes out and gets a job and works like an ass and produces goods and consumes them. That's the whole material world, whether it be in the east and the west and the up and the down or wherever. You just got to work like an ass and make things and spend them. And this way everything becomes depleted and everybody goes on economically developing. And the perfection of life is when everybody's got tons of money and tons of sense gratification. This is the perfection of life. So, we were thinking what to do. So we decided we'd rearrange everything, and it became very exciting. I mean, how that all happened and everything, and of course that has already taken me about 60 pages to put down. And for me to explain it now, I mean, I'd have to just go on and on and on. But just take my word for it, things are getting really exciting in the writing realm. Very exciting. I mean, we're actually coming to the point where the system is becoming practical. It's not a utopia at all. There's a practical reality. It can be done from this point right now, or it can be done after a war, it can be done at any point whatsoever to bring the society towards Krishna consciousness. So therefore I thought it doesn't matter anymore what I do right now. This book's got to get out. You know, if I don't come down and give a lecture or two, you know, I'm sorry. But, you know, I have to finish this book. Because I'm going to go out preaching for a month and I'm not going to come back into any civilized part of this world. And it's too much time. So therefore I'm just simply staying in my room and I'm just typing all day. My fingers have blisters on them. But it's just got to finish. But then at the same time, Srila Jayapataka Maharaj is an integral part of world scheme. A very integral part. And I'll explain why. Because, you see, Mayapur is a very special place. First of all, it's the birthplace and place of pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And second of all, it's the traditional seat of culture in Bengal. Capital, used to be the capital of Bengal. It's the culture center of Bengal. And people in India are not like people here. Of course, nowadays, the people in the cities have become completely demoniac. They're in worse condition than people in the Western countries, because they have no humility whatsoever. Maybe out of 20% of the population lives in the cities, maybe out of that 10% is so absolutely demoniac, it's unbelievable. And the other 10% is very religious. Practical experience from my 5 years being in India, and others know this perfectly well. Then amongst the village people, they are all pious. They all are inherently Krishna conscious. They all like Krishna, unless they're Mohammedans. Unless they're Muslims or they're Parsis. They all have faith in Krishna. Even, let's say, they're demigod worshippers, or Shakti worshippers, or they're Durga worshippers, whatever. But still they believe in Krishna. And if you say Krishna is God, nobody will argue with you outside of the city. Even the Muslims will accept it. They'll just translate it into Allah. It's a fact. India is like that. It's a very special place. Even today. Of course, the leaders and the demoniac educational system is just perverting people more and more. But they're really, that's the place where we can make millions of devotees. And these millions of devotees can join into Krishna consciousness movement as a display of how Krishna consciousness can really do something wonderful for the world. Let us say we now have so many schemes and so much philosophy and we write so many books about world organization. But people are going to say, but what are you going to do? What have you done? Here you are, just a few people here. What actually have you done? But when we show a Mayapur city, a Mayapur project, a fantastic display of how in the most wretchedly depressed area of India, the most fantastically opulent place is arising, they'll begin to have some faith. Maybe these Hare Krishnas can do something after all. They're already wondering after Vrindavan and Bombay. But the only way they can conceive of the way this Bombay Center was built is that we're simply wanting to enjoy. So we collect all the money and we make a big marble building to enjoy it. Of course, they missed the point that 50,000 people practically a day are walking into the Bombay Center. Or many people a day, whatever it is. So many people, it's unbelievable. Just packed. And if there's a program, in the hundreds of thousands, the people come. They give up counting after a couple of 100,000. No question of figuring out how many hundreds of thousands are coming and going. So the place is not for our enjoyment, it's for the enjoyment of all the people of Bombay and all over India. So they're getting a little bit more faith. But then actually, they're going to say, now how are you going to do it for the world? That's of course some place where the people are already living outside and they're already doing all their businesses and everything, and you just take their money and you build a big marble building and they come and enjoy it. It's kind of like building a movie theater. But what about real living? What about real life? What about real society? So that's where Mayapur comes in. And actually can begin to see Prabhupada's incredible genius. Prabhupada envisioned not only that we have the philosophy to do it, but we have the practical punch to do it. And when we make a place like Mayapur, then people will actually see what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're doing it. We'll be organizing thousands of people. As it is right now, if Mayapur had more buildings, they could fill them immediately. As many buildings as we build in Mayapur can be filled with people immediately. People who want to be devotees of Krishna and people who want to serve Krishna. And not just run-of-the-mill coolies. Really intelligent, learned people. In a country of 700 million people, you can't imagine how many MA, BA, PhDs there are. There's hundreds of thousands of them. Incredibly intelligent people, very cultured people, very learned people, retired majors in the army, retired politicians, leaders of the society, very wonderful people. And as many buildings as we build, they will come and move in and serve Krishna. It's not like Sweden, where we have to squeeze the rock to get a devotee. But their devotees are naturally there. They'll walk in the door and do wonderful things. And the wonderful thing in Bengal, the people don't mind. They love Jayapataka and Bhavnana. Nobody there is so foolish that they think, oh, here's some white capitalistic American. They are not so stupid like that. They think, here is a wonderful person. The Bengalis, they are a very nice quality. They see. Here's a person who first of all, he speaks our language fluently. Jayapataka Maharaj speaks fluent Bengali. I don't know if any of you know that. He is completely attuned to the culture. He's an Indian citizen. And he's doing something which no other Indian ever could do. He's giving them Krishna and at the same time economic development. What more can you want? And therefore they say, this is representative of Krishna. They see by the symptoms. They don't look at the bodily skin. They're not so narrow-minded like that. They look at the bodily symptoms. The symptoms of his activities. And they say, look what he's doing. He's preaching us about Krishna. He's chanting Hare Krishna. He's getting us to chant Hare Krishna. He's making us devotees. And he's giving us economic development. What more can one possibly want in the whole universe? Everything's there. So that is why we're just concentrating our efforts in trying to develop this Mayapur. Because by developing Mayapur, we accomplish so many things. We make thousands of devotees. And we show the world that we can organize a huge amount of people. And we actually learn how to organize all of these people. And we learn how to do all of these projects, build them up very, very big. And we're now engaging these Swedish development agencies. Because we're the only people who help anybody when there's a flood. When there's a flood in Bengal, the government men they all go home to help their own families. And if they are given any relief aid from any foreign agency, they take it for themselves and they sell it to others. And then they take the money and then they enjoy it. And although there are many big boats, for the military men, all of the big generals and officers just float up and down in the boats all day and look at everything and go, oh, how horrible. And they don't do a thing. And when it comes right down to actually doing something for people, you see Jayapataka Maharaj immersed up to here in water. I don't know if you ever saw the pictures. Ladling out prasadam from a boat into people's bowls as they're also up to here in water. Because they're shorter than he is. With their bowl up in the air like this, after having not eaten for a week. You see, that's the difference between what we do and what the politicians do. What the politicians do is they make a lot of big talk. Now in Bengal they're making big talk about communism. You know, people's this, people's that, workers this, workers that, this and that and the other thing. And they don't do a damn thing for anybody in the whole place. When the flood came, they did one thing which was really fantastic. I told you about that. They busted that dam because they had no brain. They busted the dam and they wiped out 100,000 people minimum overnight. You woke up one morning and some huge amount of area was gone. It was simply sand. You see? Because of total mismanagement, because nobody cares. If you work for the state, that means you're working for nobody. If the state is the only controller, that means nobody is the controller. Nobody cares. Nobody works. It's a known fact. If you work for the government and there's no incentive, then you don't try to expand your service, do so many things. So people are completely disgusted. Nothing is getting done. Nothing. From top to bottom, nothing is getting done. The whole place is rotting. There's not even electricity anymore. One of our life members got on the radio, national media, and said, you just give us, our company, the charge of the electricity in Bengal, and within 6 months, you will not even know the meaning of load shedding. Which means that you'll never know that there was a time when there was no electricity. Now, 8 hours out of the day, there's no electricity. You see. Minimum 8 hours. Mainly more. 15 hours, no electricity. The hottest time of the year. Okay, there's no fan. Nothing. And he said within 6 months, you'll not know the meaning of load shedding when they turn off the electricity. But the government says, no, we cannot let you do it, because if you succeed, then everybody will lose all faith in us. They'll all realize we're useless. You see? And when all the houses were destroyed, so many relief agencies wanted to build houses. The government said, no, don't build houses. Because if you build houses, then everybody will realize that we can't do anything. We're useless. Therefore, they forbid all house building, and therefore everybody's still living in shacks. You can't believe what they're living in. This little straw with some canvas in front of it. And this is what they live in. While the government maintains its big position. But this is what we're facing. A world like that. And our Mayapur project is just the opposite. To give everything, just like Jayapataka Maharaj is big leader, big position. But he's up to here in water, passing out the prasadam. Personally leading people into all of these things. It's a very wonderful thing that's going on over there. We can make Gurukul, we can fill our school as much a room as we have. The school's immediately filled. So therefore, that's what we're doing now. We're just making all of these schemes so that we'll actually do something for people. We're the only people who can feed anybody there. We're the only people who can house anybody there. We're the only people who can give them any jobs. We're moving the whole production of Spiritual Sky from France to Mayapur. All handloom Mayapur for the whole society. We're organizing everything based in Mayapur because Prabhupada wanted Mayapur to be the center of the society. As far as the project of the society next. First it was Vrindavan, then Bombay, then now Mayapur. Now unfortunately some people don't understand that. So we're trying very hard up here to do it with the help of government agencies, like we did with Hyderabad. And this way we'll be able to develop Mayapur very nicely. So that's why I'm pushing Jayapataka Maharaj now to make these schemes proper so that Bhagavan can work on them with the government. It's just news. I'm just telling you news. It's not propaganda, it's news. So, I mean, I personally feel a great commitment towards doing this properly because I see it as a very important factor in world development. That when people see that model, there'll be opportunities to make other models in different places of the world. Prabhupada wanted 12 Mayapurs. He wanted 12 projects like that around the world, in key places around the world, model cities like this, which are based completely on spiritual culture. The center of the city is a temple, and around that is the Brahmins and all the ways that it works for the Varnashram class. And the whole city is dedicated towards serving Krishna, but at the same time is fantastically opulent. When one is Krishna conscious, he becomes opulent, because that is the way Krishna works. The more pious you become, the more you get. These impious places, godless places, may work like asses and they'll never have opulence. And a Krishna conscious man, automatically opulence comes to him, even if he doesn't want it. Our Krishna communism says, opulence to everyone. Let everybody live in a first-class manner. Let everybody live in an opulent circumstance. Not drag everybody down to the lowest circumstance. Let everybody live in the best circumstance. It's easy to do, it's no problem. Even if you just consider materially. They've wasted so much money making huge weapons and huge technology, and they're just simply exploiting people and building up industries more and more and more. For what? And what actually goes on your lunch plate? Can't eat nuts and bolts. The famous saying. I love that saying. You can't eat nuts and bolts. You can produce all these things, you can't eat them. You can't make, upma with the oil from your car. Doesn't work. So actually this project is very important. It's very dear to Srila Prabhupada. Simultaneous programming, book distribution, knowledge dissemination, and creation of devotees in the West, and this book distribution, knowledge dissemination, creation of devotees in the East, but building up huge Mayapur projects. Prabhupada's dream. He wanted that. So we are working to do them. And it's such a huge job, sometimes you don't see it. We're upstairs pounding on typewriters and dictating and talking and doing so many things. So, this is the news of what's going on. It's very big news. Personally, if you actually understood the implications of that, that the whole world is going to hell. There's no doubt about it. Simply no doubt about it. But if you can see how what we are doing actually applies to the situation of every human being on this planet, it's very exciting. Very exciting. And you see how relevant every activity that we do is. How relevant is just giving a book to somebody. The first step of everything. Everything depends on that giving a book to somebody and making him Krishna conscious. Everything. Bringing the person beyond the material conception of life that he's his body. The whole problem with the world today is people are attached to bodily designations. And they're very proud of their designations. Americans, very proud of being Americans. I can say, I've been so long out of that place. No attachment anymore. Very proud of being American. We are the most intelligent people. We are the most creative, economically powerful, militarily powerful, technologically powerful. They've made so many gadgets and gizmos, you can't believe it. They can do practically an insane amount of things with technology. Now in America, the big thing is home computers. You can buy a computer for your home for $300. It's 1,200 crowns. You can buy a computer with a TV screen, and a type thing, and you can do your homework on the computer. You can tally your daily budget. The wife can do her budget on the computer. Everything you can do on the computer. They're called microcomputers. Just a little thing, and it does everything. Isn't this perfection? This is where your brain can become full of fat, and you can forget everything about intelligence, and you just type in computers. I mean, anyway, there's so many problems there. And in India, there are so many problems. Indians are thinking, yes, we are the real devotees. We are the ones who have the real culture and knowledge. This is our culture and knowledge. But you ask them, what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? It says to become one. And they will foolishly make discrimination. They will say, yes, I will hear from Indian or some third world man. I will not hear from American capitalist dog. This way they will think, very proud. Another contamination. And the Russians will think, we are the strongest. And the Swedes will think, we are the most liberal and open-minded. We are the most tolerant. Everybody thinks they're nonsense. The whole world's full of nonsense. Like this. Bodily designation. Therefore, first principle is Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tatparvina nirmalam Yishikesha yishikena sevanam bhakti uchika. First thing you do, get rid of this nonsense about designation. The first thing you do is stop thinking of Vaishnavas in terms of designation. Ache Vishnu Shiladir Guru Shunanamati Vaishnave Jati Buddhi Yasyava Narati Sa. You think that the deity is made of stone or brass. Just like you read some of these nonsense Gita press publications that come out of India. When they talk about the deity, it's either the statue, or the idol, or the gods. They talk about the gods. This is complete nonsense. The statue, he's made of stone or brass. He's like a painting of some beautiful woman. This just represents some woman. Of course, because it's a woman, what it's representing, then it's not very valuable. Because it's representing God, then it has some value. See? This is Mayavadi philosophy. Not understanding that the deity is Satchidananda. The deity is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's not representation of the Supreme Person. It's not that God is in the deity somewhere. Like deity as a soul, like you are not. Deity is Krishna. As when we install, we say, Krishna, you please now manifest here for our serving you. Ache Vishnu Shiladu. Guru Shunaramati. You think Guru is an ordinary man, just like you. Guru is not an ordinary man. He is the representative of the Supreme Personality of God. And Vaishnave Jati Buddhi. The Vaishnav comes from a particular caste or race or bodily background or designation. Vaishnava is follower of Vishnu. It does not matter if he comes from any family whatsoever. He may even come from family of Malecha, from Yavana, from Chandala. It doesn't matter. Because he is surrendered fully to Krishna, he is pure devotee and must be accepted as Vaishnava. Not that somehow or another the Indians have some commodity here. They have their only rights, monopoly on Vaishnavas. We are proving that completely wrong. Vaishnava means universal. Every human being has capability of being follower and devotee of Vishnu. Because everybody emanates from Vishnu. Everything comes from Vishnu. He is the source of the entire creation. So anybody who thinks like this, who thinks by designations of these spiritual personalities, he is a resident of hell. He is living there now, he will remain there always. Because unless one knows and learns how to surrender unto a first-class Vaishnava representative of Krishna, he'll never become Krishna conscious. He'll never get out of this hellish condition of life. So first thing is get rid of your designations, ideas. I am an American. I am an Indian. I am a Swede. I am a this. I am a that. You are nothing. You're just a pile of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, put together as some nice bones and blood and stool, all packed into this nice bag. If you peel off the black or the white layer on this bag, you'll find the same red blood, the same blue veins. I don't know the colors of the muscles and all these other things. Whatever color they are, you'll find all of them the same. Universal. Universal, everybody, underneath. Universally, earth, water, fire, air, and ether mixed in different ways. Simply, we have different packages. So we shouldn't become like advertising agents who propagandize according to the different packages. New improved box of Zim Zam soap. First class cleansing potential. Just look at the red color. New improved human being. He's not black, he's not white, he's not yellow. He's greenish. What is the use? It's all designation. Body designation, color designation, race designation, even religion designation. Nobody has any right to claim himself as this religion, that religion, Hindu or Muslim or Christian or Catholic or all the different splinter groups, Jewish or whatever other, like Methodist or Lutheran or Episcopalian or Calvinist or whatever. You name a billion of these things. It's all bodily designation. You can change from one day to the next. I can be Hindu one day, and the Muslim can come and put a little bit of water on my head from his kitchen, and all of a sudden I'm a Muslim. Now what is this? This is not religion. This is not real Dharma, not the real personality of a living being. This is some mental speculation that people have accepted. They don't understand God, they don't understand themselves, who they are, what identity they are. If they can change this like that from day to day, if you can go from one religion to another day to day, that proves this is a temporary material designation than it like any other. But the real designation is I am Krishna Nichadas. The eternal servant of Krishna is an eternal position. I'm eternally related to the Supreme in service. It doesn't matter whether I'm black or blue or white or yellow or green, or if I'm a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian or whatever, or if I'm an Indian or American or a Chinese, or I'm in anything, anywhere, at any time, is all material designation is meaningless on the real position of the soul. The real position of the soul is Krishna Nichadas. Jiva Swarupoy Krishna Nichadas. He's actually the servant of Krishna, and nothing more. And therefore this Krishna consciousness movement binds and unites the whole humanity on this point. Everybody is equal servant of Krishna. He should be. Of course, some are better servants than others because they're more realized. And if somebody is better than you at something, what do? Huh? I ask, go on, answer. Take instruction from him, that's right. You don't become envious of him. Somebody's better servant. You don't think, well, everybody should be equal, and become envious of him and drag him down. You say, how can I learn from him? And let me take more instruction from him. Let me become perfect servant of Krishna. Let me improve my service to Krishna. Not, oh, look at him in that position, drag him down. That's the modern so-called communistic method. Somebody's got something, take it away. No. We say, somebody's got something, learn how to get it too. Take more and more. Everybody. Learn more devotion, learn more love, learn more everything. How to serve Krishna, how to become first-class devotee. Anyway, so the news has become a whole thing. This is very important understanding. And our uniting East and West through this Mayapur project by Western intelligence, technology, and funds thrown into the cultural background and wonderful expansion facilities of Mayapur is a very nice thing. It's a very wonderful thing, and I think this will actually very much be appreciated within the world. Anybody have any questions? I went and ruined the Bhagavatam class again.
You mentioned this is like Mayapur, so
Somewhere in 12 places. He didn't say. Well, you know, a Kshatriya is a very special person. Kshatriya doesn't mean just a big ape man who pounds people on the head with a club. A Kshatriya means somebody who's first of all very courageous, very intelligent, very brave, very determined, very forceful, very powerful. Those are qualities of Kshatriya. And a Kshatriya is somebody who must be a leader of men. He must organize, but not just a paper-pushing administrator, a bureaucrat. Modern government means bureaucracy, unlimited amount of bureaucracy. We push a paper from here to here to here to here. Nobody takes responsibility. They all hide in bureaucracy. But a Kshatriya is one who takes responsibility and complete responsibility. He's very powerful, physically strong also. It's not that when he wants to make some decision to arrest some criminal or something, he has to send some strong people to do it. He can do it himself if he wants. And fighting in battle, he's prepared to stand there and kill you or die. Just like your Viking tradition. The Kshatriya is a very powerful man, but nowadays, what do you have? You have a completely different situation. You've got F-15s, which fly in the air. Let's say you got a MiG-23 and an F-15. It's a technological fact, hope nobody gets insulted, that one F-15 can wipe out 5 MiG-23s before he's wiped out. That's just an average. 5 to 1. Why? Because they got technology now, whereby 5 kilometers, if you come within 5 kilometer range, they push one of these independently propelled heat directing or radar directed missiles. And this missile will go all kinds of tricky ways. It'll make loop-de-loops and this and that, and then it'll smash you to pieces. And you won't even know it's coming. Because you can't see these things. They go too fast. And no plane is equipped with radar, except a couple of the very special new English planes. And the F-15. We know all this stuff. So no plane is equipped with radar to see. And even if it was equipped with radar, it couldn't move fast enough to get away from these missiles. So where's the Kshatriya? Somebody sits up there in his airplane, which is like sitting in your car. And, you know, he's got a radar screen and it goes blip, 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 blip. And he says, aha, 5 kilometers away, there's some plane. Boom. And the rocket goes. So what does this have to do with the Kshatriya? Where is he courageous in battle? Where is his intelligence? Where is he determining? Nothing. He doesn't even need a brain. Just simply sits there, watches the screen, and pushes a button. Factually speaking, this is modern warfare in the air. And big bombs, okay, you got your ICBMs, he's got his ICBMs. All right, time to blow up the world. Okay, fire them. And all the rockets go. Everybody's blown up. So where's the Kshatriya? What is this? It's nonsense. Not Kshatriya, it's completely different. Okay, so they got a few guys in tanks. The Russians, they have very many tanks. They have 8,000 tanks. So they're going to pile over, you know, the border and all their tanks. But now the Americans got their A-10As with guns that shoot uranium bullets. They can shoot 4,000 in 1 minute. 4,000 uranium bullets. It completely, one bullet smashes a tank to pieces. Even if it's got 12 feet solid steel, one uranium bullet goes zoop, and they shoot 4,000 in 1 minute. It's so crazy what they're doing. It's completely insanity. They got satellites and anti-satellite satellites and anti-anti-satellite satellites. And all laser this, laser that, blow up this, blow up that, all kind of thing. And it's all going on by electronic technology. So nuclear Kshatriya has to be redefined as a Kshatriya, because he's fighting, he's defending. If the goal is to defend the Varnashrama system, then he may be considered as nuclear Kshatriya. Because the goal of Kshatriya is protection. So the overriding feature of Kshatriya is protection. Although maybe the quality may not be the same, due to the fact that of technology. As long as the other side's got technology, whatever side is against the Varnashrama society, that society must be met with similar technology because the people must be protected. But when the whole world becomes this varnashrama, that will all be destroyed. Not disbanded, destroyed. Smashed to pieces by the leaders, who will then develop more of these personal qualities, which are very important. Nowadays, the leaders of countries are politicians. They are elected by power politics and vested interest groups who throw money behind them, and they're like dogs in the hands of the economic military complex. They are not Kshatriyas. They are Sudras, because they are in the employ of someone else for the goals of that person, to make economic development. This is not a Kshatriya. A real Kshatriya is somebody who takes the responsibility to protect the people in all respects. And he is appointed. He is not elected by some modern democratic process. A nuclear Kshatriya is somebody who will stand there on the battlefield and defend the system using whatever means is necessary. But who won't run away in the battle and who won't stop fighting. Either he's dead or the other man is dead. It's a mentality that has to be developed even within the technological age. Now this mentality is not there. You see, in the modern warfare system, as soon as the war comes or whatever, everybody kind of like falls to pieces. Heroism and great amounts of bravery are not generally recognized as being the most intelligent method nowadays. Although when the Americans were fighting with the kamikaze Japanese pilots in World War II, they became very astounded how they simply couldn't stop these guys. You couldn't stop them, and even if you killed them, they would, while they're dying, smash your ship to pieces with their airplanes. They were very impressed by this. Real Kshatriya spirit. That's a real Kshatriya spirit. Their whole business is to kill you and nothing else. Just like we often give the example of those 12 Vikings who took over the whole of North England. 12. Okay, 12. Imagine 12 of us, right? So 12 Vikings. Great Swedish tradition. Or were they Danish? Who were those guys? Norwegians. 12 of them, with their clubs and swords, took over the entire of North England. Really fantastic. You know, so many thousands of people were there. They had no chance against these guys. They were so powerful. So that's a Kshatriya. And that should be redeveloped within the society. That mentality. Because Kshatriyas generally will only face other Kshatriyas. Just see the niceness of that system. Not that a war will be fought over all of the civilians. Now the modern war is to be fought over all the civilians. All the civilians will be torn to pieces within these wars. But real Kshatriyas will fight only with other Kshatriyas. The king will say, we have a dispute, but you come and stand in front of me and we'll settle this dispute. Or your army will stand in front of my army and we'll settle this dispute. I mean, after all, domination simply means whose army can dominate the other. And if it comes to the point of domination by army, why shouldn't the army have enough principles to both stand facing each other on a battlefield? Go in some desert and beat your brains in. Why do you have to do it on the country where all the people are, with the women and children and old men? You see? It's okay, keep your technology, whatever, as long as somebody else is keeping it. But don't fight over all the people. Real Kshatriya has real principles, and he'll stick by those principles. Alright, so sometimes force has to be there, because there's some irreligious process, or some body cannot accept things due to being less intelligent. Alright, so maybe you have to come to the point of force, but don't do it on everybody else. But they like doing it all over the people and smashing the whole social thing and all the industries and everything because it's very good business. Because then you have to really inspire your economy and everybody becomes very rich rebuilding the society. Very special point. War is the best business. You make war, you become very rich. This way you get yourself out of all depressions. America got itself out of the entire depression of the 1930s by making war. Then it became a very powerful country. All wars are fought for economic reasons. No philosophical wars anymore. All finished. No religious wars. But within Varnashram society, if there's war, it's fought for a religious purpose and a philosophical reason. That's the difference.
Can this be applicable to also world war in the future? When there are so many demons who don't fight?
I just wrote and gave the example of the Kurukshetra war. How that war was arranged by Krishna. And it was very, very similar. The weapons at that time of the Vedic age were pretty similar to the weapons that are presently existing. Modern science has finally managed to come up with the same powerful weapons that were there by mantra. They've come up to them with technology. All the weapons ceased to exist after the Kurukshetra war because they were simply destroyed by Krishna. And Krishna nullified the ability of man to use those mantras to create weapons after the Mahabharata war. So there was all those weapons there. Brahmastra. Now, you see, in tactical nuclear weapons, they are making nuclear weapons which will have a very limited area of contamination and effect. They're making mini bombs, which will be nuclear in nature, but which will only affect a very small area, because they realize these huge garbage bombs, they're called garbage bombs, because they just smash everything without any brain over huge areas. But now they think, better we have tactical bombs, which nuclear but blow up very little things. And neutron bombs, which have very special effect of very intense radiation and kill all the people, which is after all the purpose of the war. So they're finally coming closer and closer to a Brahmastra, which is something which, a nuclear weapon, which you direct to go and kill those people you want it to kill. It's completely within your control, whereas nuclear weapons are completely out of your control. So they're trying to come to the point of getting nuclear weapons which they can control, so that they don't cause mass chaos if they have a conventional war. They're going to try and keep it contained as long as possible, but of course they're going to fail. But anyway, they're trying to create Brahmastra. And by their other weapons, they're actually just duplicating weapons which are already there in the Vedic time and which were used like anything in the Kurukshetra war. All these different kinds of weapons. Using, instead of sun energy, laser energy. Things like this. There are all kinds of things. So, that situation was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, over 4 million people were killed in 18 days. A really fantastic accomplishment. And that they can also do today. In such a short time. All of the people who were killed in World War I and World War II combined were killed in 18 days. And those wars went on for a combined total of 8 years or more. So the amount of people who can be killed today is roughly similar in a similar amount of time. And the amount of warfare and weaponry and fierceness, ferociousness of battle is roughly similar to that which went on during the Kurukshetra war. Fantastic weapons flying in the air, and the portents and the light and the everything, cloud and the blood flying, and it was just a horrible scene then. If you read the Mahabharata, you're just like completely astounded what was going on. And if you read the books on the modern warfare, you'll find it's the same thing. And then I began to think, here we have the exact same situation as we had then. It's the exact same situation. Exactly the same amount of men can be killed in the exact same amount of time. And the weaponry is pretty much equal. And it seems to me that Krishna is arranging this whole war to get rid of all the demons and reduce the great military burden of the earth. The reason that war was fought, because there was a huge burden on the earthly planet of overabundance of military forces. And presently we have the same situation of overabundance of military forces. And it will be depleted in the same exact way as it was then. And then, at the time of the Kurukshetra war, all of these warriors, which included all of the armies of the world at that time, except the Yadu dynasty. And the Yadu dynasty was also a burden. So Krishna made another arrangement outside of war to kill them. And thus the whole world was relieved of all of its burden. And similarly, this war will kill all of them, and Krishna will make by natural catastrophe and other problems, all the rest of them finished. The exact same situation. And what was the goal of that war? To put Yudhisthira in charge. And what is the goal of this war? Blank space. So we can see a very similar situation. Therefore, I find nuclear Kshatriya somewhat relevant to talk about in the book.
Krishna Maharaj, you mentioned that Sita has sent money to Hyderabad?
Well, that's practically all approved, and it's just, the old Indian government doesn't like foreign agencies to give money. It makes them look bad. There's no government in India right now. Their whole political system has fallen to pieces. There's no central government. Nobody's doing anything. All the leaders are simply doing anything if you pay them a lot of money. Right now, if you want anything done in India, you have to go to some official and bribe him. And if you pay him a certain amount of money, then he'll do some official function, which he should have done anyway. So therefore everything's hung up. Even all of our goods, which we want to ship from India, like I noticed Janeshwar is walking around in a beggar's dhoti here. We can't even give him a new dhoti, because everything's hung up in India, because you can't get export clearance unless you go to the export clerk and you pay him 200 rupees, and then he'll stamp your paper. Such a horrible situation. So, we're waiting.
In other words, Sita is willing, but the Indians aren't.
They're willing also when it comes time. Right? You gotta wait till the government comes back into one piece. Well, this is the question everybody asks. And the answer is that there's no need to destroy the system of modern technology artificially. It will destroy itself naturally. It's an inherent contradiction in technology, just like Marx used to talk about the inherent contradiction in class struggle due to class inequality, which will cause he said, will automatically cause the proletariat to overthrow the capitalists. Of course, we never saw that anyway. But anyway, that was the theory. So, the idea is similar in principle, that there's an inherent contradiction between science and technology and the survival of the human race. And we explained that the other day. On one hand, you've got great medicine strides, and on the other hand, you've got bacteriological warfare. On one hand, you've got great science and technology, on the other hand, you've got ferocious weapons, like never known before. On one hand, you're trying to make people more healthy, and on the other hand, you're killing them by pollution. So there's so many inherent contradictions which are going on in the human society. And these inherent contradictions will naturally cause destruction of the present social arrangement. And they will also cause destruction of their own technology. Now, whatever technology is remaining after that destruction, we can utilize in Krishna's service, exactly as we're utilizing it right now. But we're not going to create the situation where that same science and technology will cause a disturbance in the human society. Because we will limit it at that point at which it goes too far. And gradually, it will be completely replaced by ways of using energy, of taking the natural products and making it very harmonious. If people with brain, let's say you've got agriculturists, for example, who've got big brains, they are very intelligent people who know these things. But now, because the chemical creation concerns, just like medicine, or better example, I'll use both examples simultaneously. The creators of medicine, big drug companies, are pushing the medical practices to only prescribe medicines for sickness, and not to go into the realm of diet or health this and health that. This because they want to sell more and more medicine. So whenever they want to cure you, they have 1 billion different medicines, different chemical medicines to cure you. But they're all very dangerous and cause very great destruction in your body. But they don't care, and they don't even work. But just so you'll spend money to buy that, to keep that big complex of drug concern going. You see? How people are being manipulated and exploited by economic consideration, above the actual considerations. And similarly in agriculture, the big fertilizing concern, big chemical concern. And because people don't want to work on the farm, so they do it all by tractors and mechanisms. And everything should grow up by fertilizers and kill the weeds. Don't bother weeding. Put incredible weed killers on. And kill the bugs, and kill the this, and kill the that. And so you go out on a farm nowadays, if you take your finger on a leaf of the corn and you scrape it like this, you'll find a huge quantity of chemicals which have been brought over by airplane and by tractor and so many things. Just so one man can farm 50 hectares with his super duper tractor, which has got a million different attachments and doing this and that and the other thing with this stereo tape cassette in it. And it's air conditioned. You see? So, another economic consideration. But what is going on? All of these chemicals are burning the land to pieces. In northern Germany, they're finding that they cannot use land after 15 years of chemicals. Now they are finding the land has become worthless. You can't grow anything there anymore. And the food has no taste anymore. No taste. You take this food grown by chemicals, it is tasteless, juiceless. And if there's a natural food which is grown, so much wonderful taste, so much wonderful life within it. They're thinking if the tomato looks like it's got a little bump up there, nobody will buy it. Therefore they create tomatoes which look perfect, but which taste horrible. The tomato with the little lump tastes real good. In Japan now they're making watermelons that grow into squares. Because if you ship watermelons in squares, it's very economical. They don't roll around and get smashed, and you can put a lot more in the truck. So they're growing watermelons into squares. Once the watermelon has reached this size, they put it in a box. And then it grows into a square. I mean, this is the way material intelligence goes. It brings you to a certain crazy, insane end. So, science and technology used for this kind of an end is completely demoniac. So we will not do it that way. To whatever degree it is helpful, we will do it, but the consideration will not be